So today's video I'm really excited about. It's a big one for the C8 Z06. We are going to be installing a cold air intake system onto the Z06, and I'm only going to put the best on there. And if you're a C8 Corvette owner, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's get started with this video. So thanks for tuning into the channel, guys. And like I said, we are going to be installing a cold air intake on to the C8 Z06. I am so excited to be installing this, and as you can see, it is gonna be from Eventuri. They are pretty much the brand to have, especially if you want to have the maximum amount of gains from a cold air intake. They have done a fantastic job with this. You don't have to take my word from it. You can check out all the other videos that talk already about this awesome cold air intake that is not only a great performer, but it is just absolutely astounding how it looks. And that's all going into the C8 Z06 because at least when it comes to performance type mods, I'm gonna spend a little bit of extra to get the best for this car. But if for whatever reason you've never heard of Eventuri, it is a company out of the UK that specializes in high-end cold air intake systems, and their intakes are generally made out of carbon fiber with a lot of R&D that has been put into it in regards to improved airflow from your air intake. These guys just make the best. And it's one of those things, it's such a beauty to look at that you definitely need to see it. And Eventuri knows that and have made a clear see-through glass piece that will basically let you see it from the trunk, which I'm also really excited to share with you guys. But in any case, let's show what you get in the box kind of deal. Now, if you're looking to want to purchase one, you can find it at Paragon Performance. It's actually kind of hard for them to keep this kit in stock because it's so highly sought after. And yeah, you're paying a premium price for it, around $2,700 for either the HTC version or the Coupe version for the Z06. But I mean, I already know this is going to be worth it. But in any case, let's go over everything that we have on these two tables because it's the main pieces here and then all the sub pieces over there. So first and foremost, looking at these cold air intake system, the main system that is made completely out of carbon fiber. It is absolutely beautiful just in itself. You have the intakes that come through here. Your filters are located on both sides right here. And then your output to your throttle bodies comes through here. Now, the shape of this is purposeful and it took a lot of R&D to get to this point. But essentially from an engineering point of view, from an aerospace engineering point of view, what's happening here is that you're having a whole bunch of mass of air coming through here, then it's getting slowly squeezed and redirected outward this way. That squeeze where you're seeing this area slowly start to narrow and get smaller and get circular also is why the system works so well. The air, if you've ever heard of like a wind tunnel where they do a lot of testing of aircraft, this is the same kind of principle of you start big and then you start smaller to get very, what's called laminar flow, get very straight flow. And that's the best, most efficient airflow that you want going into your actual intakes when it redirects going this way. So it is that kind of design that's been done here that it actually makes perfect sense why the system is so good that you're getting around 40 horsepower additional in your mid-range and about 18 horsepower in your peak, which is insane. That is extremely efficient, especially compared to like the OEM airbox kind of deal. And on top of that, I'm so excited to combine this with the solar performance throttle bodies, the 91mm throttle bodies that are already in the C8 Z06. That combination between just those two is going to be ridiculous. They are going to be complementing each other to improve the airflow so that I get even more horsepower than just this alone. And we're gonna do a dyno comparison in a future video. I'm waiting for a specific exhaust to come out. It still hasn't come out. If you guys have been with the channel for a while, you know which exhaust that I'm thinking about. It's like the one I had on my C8 Stingray, but they haven't come out one yet for the Z06, and I'm waiting for that. When that does come out and I have that exhaust installed, along with this air intake and the throttle body, then we're gonna do dyno numbers and we're gonna see exactly where we stand. But if you are skeptical about this intake actually producing what I say it does, there are a ton of other different videos from fellow YouTubers that I know personally that have done the dyno, especially with this, and have confirmed the values are indeed true. In any case, so moving on from this beautiful piece right here, we're gonna look at all the other pieces right here. So this right here is the main bracket along with the sub bracket, and Eventuri does a really good job of having this special serialized label on here, which I especially freaking love, that it makes it just a little bit more unique for each one. They have it serialized, which number it is. My number is 1556. Kind of deal. So it's a little bit of a higher number, but the fact that it has its own serial number is pretty cool. Now, to the left and right here of the bracket, you have these heat shields, which are, pretty much self-explanatory. They're heat shields, but you have little details like over here where it says Z06 right-hand side, and then you have Z06 left-hand side. So that's kind of cool that they've put in that extra little bit of detail. And then you have this piece right here, which is the actual shield, the transparent shield, that we're gonna have to make some cuts and trims to the actual trunk compartment to be able to show this, but this is what's gonna allow you to be able to see this beautiful cold air intake from inside. Now I have the wrapping on this because I really don't want to get this scratched or anything while I'm working. So that's kind of why I left this in its wrap still, but you'll be able to see this at the end of the video, how this looks all together. It's gonna look really, really good. And then you have things like this part right here, which is basically going to be the outer molding, so that it looks very clean and cut and professional once you all install it. And then going over to this secondary table, you have basically all of the subcomponents that you're gonna need. You have your gaskets right here, your nuts and screws that you're gonna need. These are the collars that are going to go from your actual intake section to the throttle bodies. You have your couplers that are going to go from the side right here. They're going to go right there. And then the adapter for those couplers is also going to go right here, essentially. And then some general maintenance advice and all that kind of stuff, along with a few cool looking stickers. And that's essentially it, guys. In regards to this cold air intake, we are going to be installing that into the Z06, and I'm so excited to install this. It is going to make such a huge difference. It's going to transform the Z06 already from the transformed version that it is like now, kind of deal. But yeah, it's just going to make such a huge difference. So I can't wait any longer. Let's get started with installing this onto the car. Alright guys, so we have finished installing the cold air intake from Eventuri onto the C8 Z06, and it came out so awesome. It's actually been a few months since the install and the beginning of this video. I had to shoot this part later for a couple reasons. One, it was the winter time when I did the install, so it was pretty terrible weather to try to do a lot of C8 kind of content outside. It's now springtime, summertime, and it's nice and warm. And then the second issue was that the car was in the service dealer for about a month and a half, not related to the cold air intake. It was a completely different issue, an OEM warranty kind of replacement thing, but they were back ordered on the part. If you want to know what happened in that video, I'll have a link to the description so you can check it out, but had nothing to do with the cold air intake. It was pretty good. And honestly, having these extra few months to just kind of get to know the car again with this cold air intake has really been very useful. Now, again, I know this is not going to have a dyno in this video. It's going to come in a future video. I'm waiting on a certain kind of exhaust to come out first before doing the whole shebang of, like, in regards to stock versus all these different aftermarket parts. But you don't have to just take my word from it. There's actually other YouTubers that have actually done the dyno testing with the Eventuri and the solar throttle bodies for that matter, and have had some amazing results. And I can attest to that. The results from combining not only just the Eventuri into the system, but having the throttle body and the throttle controller as well, that is a winning combination. Like, it is such a night and day difference. On the low to mid power band, so much more livelier, like kind of how I would expect it from like the LT2 motor, the Stingray motor, where it has a lot of power on the low to mid power band. With the LT6 motor, it's the other way around. It has most of its power on the upper bands. This combination between the Eventuri intake, the solar throttle body, and the actual controller, that is the winning combination. By the way, if you're interested in the solar products, the throttle body and controller, I have a discount code, New Horizon. You could check it out on their website. Save yourself a little bit of money. It is worth the upgrade. And then combining that with the Eventuri is just like so phenomenal. I am so glad that I had made that purchase. All right, let's take a quick drive with this system so you can see what I mean. That cold start never gets old. Now, I have set up my audio slightly different. I took out some of the noise canceling so you can really just get a good feel for the engine. So I apologize if my voice sounds a little different than the usual manner. And also my spot, because they're doing construction, has a ton of rock. So if you're hearing all that rock getting pulled up by the tires, that's also why. So alrighty. So general pull, I mean, it pulls just as hard, a little bit harder than when it didn't have both the Eventuri and the throttle bodies together. And like I said, and how I was saying before, guys, it is a lot more alive in the lower to mid power band. So it's one of those things that if you're cruising or whatnot, you have your RPMs on the low to mid range, you can actually have it be useful in regards to like pushing forward without having to go down a gear kind of deal. So that's one thing I very much appreciate that this system is doing very, very nicely, this combination of aftermarket parts. This is kind of honestly what I was expecting the Z06 to kind of feel like from the factory. So I am in the mid power band right now. So I'm just gonna, in fourth gear, doing about 60. So I'm just gonna go, just mashing the gas. So before, when I would try to do that, it would want to go, but it wouldn't start really going until like the 5,000–6,000 RPM range. But at 4,000 RPM range, it's starting to feel a lot better kind of deal. And if I'm going, let's say, 6th gear, it's still sluggish. I mean, you're in 6th gear doing, just under 70. But before, I would mash on the gas and nothing would happen. At least with this setup, it's a little bit more forgiving. Specifically, like on the 3,000 RPM range. That's when it really is like, you're gonna notice the biggest difference between that 3,000 to 4,000 RPM range, which is like for me, when I'm cruising, that's the range I'm usually sitting around, just cruising in general. So it actually makes quite a bit of difference in that mid-range kind of deal. And that makes sense with what you see in the numbers from the dynos and such like that. You have the maximum gain from the Eventuri at 40 plus horsepower in that mid-range. That is where the sweet spot has been for this cold air intake. And with the throttle body combined with it, it's so much better. So, okay, so let's do, I'm not gonna do a quick pull, but I'm gonna do a semi-quick pull, or hard pull. So let's see. I'm mashing the gas. I had a lot of tire spin. I did not have it set up to do a quick launch, so it was just more just playing around. But in general, yeah, it just feels so much better having this combination. This, like I said before, this is the winning combination to me in regards to if you're not going to supercharge or anything, but you want a little bit more useful horsepower for your everyday driving. This is what does it. I mean, I'm in the 3,500 RPM range, doing 60 miles an hour at 4th gear. Like, it actually has oomph to it. It's not just like sluggish. If it was stock and I tried to do that same thing, it is just, it does not want to go. And so I have to like drop a gear in order to make it actually really go. So this is very impressive to me that Eventuri has made a cold air intake that works really, really well. And then yeah, just combining it with the throttle body and the throttle controller, because the throttle controller helps just take off some of that linear, or it just takes off some of that ramped up throttle and gives you a more linear predicted throttle that I very much love, kind of deal. So this is just so much better in regards to what you're getting. And I'll have a link in the description to get one of these. It's going to be from Paragon. Paragon is the place to go to get Eventuri type cold air intakes for the C8 Corvette. And this just, yeah, it just hits so much better now. Like, this rounds out the car to me. It's also kind of interesting to note there's a little bit of a hiss from the cold air intake that you hear that wasn't there before. So that's kind of also cool. You have like new sounds that are just more detailed and coming from that engine bay, which I absolutely love that little extra bit, especially when you're like really hard on it. You can hear the air getting sucked in, and it's doing its job. I've driven the Eventuri with the intake on for about 3,000 miles at this point. So it is actually, and it has been rock solid the whole entire time, not giving me any kind of issues with regards to like, it has not given me any kind of issues in regards to any kind of check engine lights or anything. It has been rock solid. So we'll do another quick pull here. I do not have my traction control set up or anything set up correctly, so I had a whole bunch of tire spinning on me kind of deal. I don't even have it in my Z mode. I should have had it in my Z mode going through all these different gears. But yeah, I think that's going to cover this video, so I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, please check out any of my other videos, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.